A new poll on climate change has been carried out from the BBC by the Programme on International Policy Attitudes at the University of Maryland. It was carried out in 21 countries, using a combination of face-to-face and telephone interviews with 22,000 people.
The survey found that almost two-thirds of the world's population believe urgent action is needed to tackle global warming. More than two-thirds of all those polled say the world's population is to blame for climate change. And 73% believe developing countries should be given a financial incentive to reduce their emissions.
It's a great world city, a city that never sleeps. But New York is also a grave threat to itself and the rest of the world. The city authorities freely admit the Big Apple produces 1 ton of greenhouse gases in every 400 emitted around the world. And New Yorkers are being warned nature's retribution could be terrible. This summer has melted record amounts of polar ice. Rising sea levels around New York and freak storms threaten the city as never before.
The authorities are being brutally frank with New Yorkers, warning them that climate change means a potential disaster for this coastal city. A combination of rising sea levels and very high winds could create seawater surges up to 25 feet high. That would leave much of lower Manhattan underwater.
So, the United Nations to the rescue? Many New Yorkers love to hate the UN, but they do want this unprecedented gathering of world leaders to generate the will to agree deep cuts in emissions, starting at negotiations in Bali in December.
We know enough to act. If we do not act now, the impact of climate change will be devastating.
In America itself, the states are not united. California's governor has taken the lead. Arnold Schwarzenegger is proud of his state's law to cut industrial emissions by an estimated 25% by 2020.
The rich nations and the poor nations have different responsibilities, but one responsibility we all have, and that is action. Action, action, action. The current stalemate between the developed and the developing worlds must be broken.
And Britain's Environment Secretary is very clear. The United States, President Bush, must now accept binding cuts. Nothing less will do.
The test for all of us is what do we do about it? And I think it's very clear that developed economies, including the largest economy in the world, the United States of America, have got to commit to binding reductions in carbon emissions.
New York says it's joining the fight back, greening the city where it can. Another startling fact, New York is among America's cleaner cities. Each New Yorker still produces less than a third of the CO2 generated by the average American. This whole nation is under mounting pressure to change its lifestyle. James Robbins, BBC News, New York.